Good afternoon. I am about to release a series of videos which cover both teaching and my subject matter, which is computing IT. And before I did that, I thought I would just like to release a video just explaining who I am, why I'm doing this, and just a little bit more about myself. So, obviously my background, I grew up in Milton Keynes, went to Van Dyke Upper School in Leighton Buzzard, not too far from here. And after that worked at Woburn Safari Park for a couple of years, which I think was a fantastic experience because it teaches you so much that school doesn't. You know, being in a work environment is very, very different, and taking advice and guidance from people who you wouldn't have imagined a couple of years back was very eye-opening for me. Afterwards, went and studied web management at the University of Wales, Swansea Met it was at the time. Again, that was a fantastic experience. Swansea is a very good place to be a student. Then quickly followed that up with a PGCE in secondary teaching, again from the University of Wales. And I think that learning to teach in Swansea was a very beneficial experience for me because there's so much deprivation around that area that a lot of students struggle to see where their futures lie. Certainly compared with the likes of MK, where I am now, where there are far more jobs available for students here, assuming, of course, that they have the aptitude for it, I suppose you could say. And I'm currently doing a master's. I'm in the final year of doing technology enhanced learning masters. So I'm looking to incorporate technologies into the way that I teach. So like I said, I'm intending to create a series of videos about my subjects and teaching. And the idea is that both for my students, they have something to dip in and out of at any point. So for example, a lot of what I teach is very visual. For example, website design. It's something which people need resources at any number of different points, and creating a website is not a simple A to B process. It has various different kind of problems along the way, and you simply can't tell where they may crop up. So I'm thinking that will be a good thing for that. Also game design, development, graphics, any number of different subject area. I think it will be very useful for them. I'm also a little bit annoyed, I suppose you could say, that learners are very kind of reliant on the first result that they get within a Google search. So, you know, you can provide any number of different resources for learners, but they will go to Google and then literally open up whatever is first in the search result. They don't know who it's from. They don't know whether the content is reliable. And I'm trying to find ways to combat that, because at the end of the day, learners need to know where they can and cannot trust resources from. For teaching resources, as part of my previous role at Aylesbury College, I helped train teachers, and I certainly felt that there could be more kind of practical and visual help available for helping with the teaching aspect, because as a trainee teacher, you can get told all your behaviour management needs to improve, but sometimes it can be quite difficult unless you actually see how a teacher who is good in that particular area actually does it. So I'm hoping that we can incorporate a bit of that in the future. Obviously, I'm open to any feedback that people may have for this, whether or not they have any different opinions. At the end of the day, this is just a project that I have, and hopefully will be quite useful for people. My teaching background, I said I trained to teach in Wales, so I was 1.5 years in secondary schools down there, and then 7 years at Aylesbury College, first of all with lecturing computing, and then also as an advanced practitioner. So as an advanced practitioner, you work with particularly new members of staff to develop their teaching, learning and assessment. I did some of the teacher training there, and yeah, it was definitely a very beneficial experience for me. And I recently moved on to Milton Keynes College, where I teach digital tech. Fortunately, I don't look anything like the guy in this picture here, but yeah, that would have been interesting. I do have a number of different philosophies. So obviously there's a subject one there that the curriculum for IT is years out of date, which is a big issue for us, in that obviously we need to prepare students for the working world now. And so if we're going by specs which are 10 to 5 years out of date, then it's no good for them really, and we try and find a way around it. Outside of that, I believe as a general thing, absolutely everybody wants to learn, and I simply don't believe that there are people out there who are not interested in learning. It doesn't necessarily have to be about every subject on earth. You know, at the end of the day, I don't particularly want to learn about things like hobnobs or chocolate biscuits, but there are lots of things that, you know, you would want to learn about, and I simply don't believe that there is anyone out there who doesn't want to learn about the world really. And I believe it's a job for the teacher to really kind of get that enthusiasm into students. You have to believe in your learners, because if you're going into a lesson not believing that they can perform at a certain subject, then the likelihood of them doing that subject and taking in the things that you want to embed in them is not going to happen, or it'll be much more difficult to happen. You know, you need to have a real steadfast belief in your learners that they can achieve anything that you put in front of them. And I think that's also where, you know, when you start to challenge learners, and I mean challenge in terms of really stretching them and believing that they can undertake every task that you give them. If you believe in them and, you know, you're constantly positive towards them, then they are much more likely to respond better to that. You know, it's not going to work for everyone, but certainly in my experience, the vast majority of learners, if you push and push and push and push, will attempt everything that you put in front of them. So yeah, that's certainly definitely, you know, one of my big things as a teacher. And also I demand as much from myself as I would from any learner. Again, I can't demand a lot from learners if I am not very demanding of myself and the way that I'm teaching, and, you know, speed of marking and the quality of feedback I'm giving, and so on and so forth. You know, it's all very important as a teacher that you set very high standards for your own teaching, learning and assessment. Outside of teaching, because we must get away from this every now and again, I'm very keen on sports. I follow Saracens as a rugby team, although at the time of creating this video they're having a bit of a hiccup at the minute, but, you know, had a very good few years, which is great. And I follow Surrey as a cricket team. I just thoroughly enjoy going to watch the cricket in the summer, and it's just a very relaxing experience, just being able to kind of chill out in the sun, watching some good cricket with maybe a beer or two. I also enjoy, I love learning about cooking. It wasn't always something that I've been interested in, but certainly in the last few years, learning new recipes, especially kind of Italian style dishes, has been something that has really kind of taken my eye, because most of them are much more simpler than you ever think they will be, and they're, you know, so tasty and generally quite good for you, which is a good thing. I enjoy gymming and exercise. I think it's quite important because of my role. I'm generally in front of a computer a lot, so I need to make sure that you do some form of exercise outside or inside if it's going to the gym, that, you know, you do need to make sure you're not sedentary all the time. Obviously, you said sports, geeky stuff such as IT, film, music, that sort of thing. I'd be no good at my job if I wasn't interested in it. I mean, that's one of the big things about it is really a teacher has to be interested in the subject they're delivering. And I'm really into animals, particularly things like tigers and birds of prey. You know, those creatures are magnificent. I haven't seen a tiger in the wild yet, but I have been fortunate to see lions and leopards and cheetahs in the wild, and they are thoroughly magnificent creatures, and they do really kind of put you into shame when you see them. But yeah, I you know, it's important to try and maintain quite a balanced life outside of teaching, really. So that's just a bit of background about myself, and hopefully you will find the videos that I'm going to produce imminently to be useful. If you want something else, please do contact me. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.